Hello again, friends. We have got a great show for you this evening. Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends. To give it its full title, we have got some fantastic points to discuss ahead of tomorrow's trip to Wigan. But I thought we'd start the correct way this evening by remembering in the year 2000, on this day, we've just beaten Liverpool 1-0. Marcus Stewart with a tremendous goal. Some still say Stefan Huncho has never been the same again, or certainly his hips never have. But truly a great goal. What are your memories? Let us know in the chat. I'm now going to hit the intro and open this beautiful Brazil's Best from our friends at awaydaybeers.com, because unlike some things in Ipswich Town, this show's got a plan, and my plan is to be drinking this beer and chatting football with you. I'll see you.
Ipswich Buses, your local bus company serving your football team. Buses run every 10 minutes. Avoid the traffic. Don't get stuck in the delay. Get Ipswich Buses today. A single from only £1.20, a return from only £2. Find out more information at www.ipswichbuses.co.uk. Ipswich Buses, proud to partner with Talking Town.
Hello again, friends. I'm back. The beer has been recharged. That's not a bad pouring pint, you know, in that space of that, 40 seconds, I think it is. Beautiful stuff. Beers up if you love the town. Welcome into your Friday night, the show that transitions you from the week to the weekend. And my Christ, what a week it has been. I feel like I've sat in this chair and not moved every single day for the last year, let alone, well, that's probably actually is true, but let alone this week. What awaits us? Still managerless. Well, technically got an interim manager, but still without a manager. If you'd asked me this on Saturday night, I probably would have said we'd have a manager by now, but trust the process, Gov. Looking forward to hearing what my two contributors have to say. In fact, me and Lewis were talking about the manager situation, and I did message him saying, I trust the process. Don't know if I was telling him that or telling myself that, but we trust the process all the same. Wigan tomorrow, big game. For those that are interested, I was on Wigan's podcast. Go and check it out with Barry, great friend of the show. He came to the best, but they were busy, so then he came to me. Harry Butcher, please, not Neil Harris. I'm sorry, but it makes no sense. The players we have do not fit his style. Mike D. Harris is a Marcus Evans type appointment. Lots of love for Neil Harris, as you can see in the chat tonight. We have too many lightweights to cope with. Some of the teams in League One, we need a mean streak. Stephen Parry, it's been so long since we've done an in-depth search for a manager. I forgot how tedious it was. Mike Baker, second towel pull it out of the hat this weekend. Triple header, Ipswich to win. England take the first Ashes. Now you're dreaming. Lewis Hamilton to be crowned F1 King. Yes, he certainly will be. Before we get knee-deep in John McGreal's press conference, I won't tell you what Matt Phillips said to me when I said to him he didn't give us a lot. He may tell you himself. It did involve some short, sharp movements, put it that way. But we've got our TT fifth stand ultras. Without these wonderful guys and girls, we cannot do what we do tonight, which is hopefully entertain you. Although I will put a little asterisk on that. That's not guaranteed, as somebody found out last week. Here is the second board. Truly, thank you all. The link is in the chat if you do get value from us and you do want to support us. And you will see that the Durrants, you are on the board. I have updated it, not the intro, I will be honest. And there are 3 names to be added to that. I've just emailed George. We've got AD Croucher, Lloyd, and Spenny. Right. We mentioned it. We said it last week. He lost us as a follower, a watcher, a viewer, someone who supports the platform. But here he is. Matthew Phillips, you are there. I just need to take this off the screen because I'm drinking my beer instead of doing my job. I do apologise. It's that type of evening. Welcome.
Your button game's been poor in the last few weeks. Hitting badly.
Resist the urge for the joke. Resist the urge for the joke. Let it pass. It's like a wave. It's going to crash over you.
You know, your production skills used to be A1, but it's like the town, it's gone downhill.
Like the town,
No coincidence.
Because, the town goes downhill, the away day beers go in.
By the way, that was a very nicely poured pint.
I appreciate you saying that. I am often commented on my my pouring skills.
Yeah, good. Pro levels.
Are you going to lose us any supporters that pay money this week?
Well, maybe, but I was proved correct, was I not?
Well, yes, you were proved correctly. Yes, yeah. He isn't here anymore, but yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? Really, you know.
We said on the show, Cook probably wouldn't be around for Pack Out PR. It's happened. I said we'd probably lose to Charlton. That happened. I think I even said we'll beat Barrow after a replay. That way, we don't know if that's going to happen yet.
No, well, yes, that remains to be seen. But on this day in 2000, Matt, we beat Liverpool, right? Let's start with a positive. The positive is the beer and this memory. Do you remember it?
I do. I remember listening to it on the radio, in actual fact.
Oh, on the radio. Old school. On the old wireless.
Yeah. I listened to a lot of I think I probably listened to all the away games on the radio that season.
Sure.
Yeah.
Rich, if Rich was here, he'd say, I was there. He was right in front of the cop giving it some. You know what he's like.
I know. I mean, look, how the mighty have fallen, eh? Here we are struggling next week with a trip to Barrow. Yes. 20 years ago, we were beating Liverpool.
Yeah, we've got a lot to get through tonight, including 3 or 4 managers to get your thoughts and the next contributor's thoughts. Lee Brown asks, is that beer strong? It's a 3.8% bitter, but I'm a lightweight on horse tranquilizer. Which one is Brazil's best. The Brazil's best. But I'm a lightweight on horse tranquilizer, so it only takes a whiff of a beer to get me, absolutely rocking and rolling, flying down the hill.
Pressed the wrong buttons already.
I know, it's beautiful. And the longer the beard gets, it gets more ingrained. But anyway, awaydaybeers.com. Go there. It's Christmas round the corner. And what you want to do is get all your mates round. For me, I need a very small room, but get all your mates round and then just whip out the away day beers. Make sure it's the away day beers you whip out. And you can then celebrate in style, Matthew.
I wouldn't get those beers out for people coming to my house. Look, I've said that before.
But why? It's a perfect.
I just want to save them for myself. They could
imagine how great that is. Like, you've got a Man City friend, because we've all got one now, right? And you just, they're like Man United of the 90s, isn't they? We've all got a Man City friend, right? It's true. But no, because there's not a Man. Oh no, there isn't. There's Cantona's collar.
Cantona's collar. Yeah,
there is.
Yes.
So yes, you can have a Man United friend or a Man City friend. Yeah. You got
Yellow
Aguero's. You got Aguero's. Not had that one yet.
No. I had Dave's Pony's. How was it the other day when I was watching the Charlton game? I think it's called Dave's right, isn't it? David Seaman one. The coloured label.
Yeah, I've not had that. Yeah, the one with the England kit. Yeah, I've not had that one yet. Let's get some.
I drank it very quickly in anger.
Did you? Ben Moore wasn't even born yet. My side get to beat Liverpool with Ipswich on Football Manager. Rob Smith, away days beers are at Trinity Park tomorrow. If you are free, head on down. Matt Stein says Peter Schmeichel. Week then. No.
I do like it when people say I wasn't born then, as if they got one over us. Well, gutted, you ain't seen nothing.
No, I think he's saying it in the reverse sense. I think he's saying it in the reverse sense. Right, let's get him in. No intro because I think. What is this, Lewis? Is your 3rd or 4th introduction?
This has got to be his 4th at least.
Sugar, I'm slipping. I really am slipping. No introduction for if we get some. If hey Matt, can you play? You've been to Scotland, right?
I have.
Right? Can you play the bagpipes?
Of course.
Right. Well, you just screech, and I'll introduce him. Right. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Lewis Robertson. Welcome, Lewis. How you doing? How you doing?
Hi, man.
How are you, Lewis? You well?
Yeah, not bad. I'm actually from Essex, so Matt, you probably want to get your stilettos on rather than your bagpipes.
Right into Essex as well, really. He just hides it.
I just hide it very well. Yeah.
It's scary and it comes out.
Lewis, Matt sing Lewis an intro. Good grief! Don't be doing that, Matt. Although is that some Romanian wine tonight, or is that not a Romanian one?
This one is Chilean.
Right, no worries. Lewis, it's been a long week. Town content has been rich because of what's been going on at the football club. What's your immediate take before we get into the nooks and the crannies tonight?
don't really know where to start, to be honest. It's been
It's
crazy,
a
isn't it? I
mountain.
mean,
It is a mountain, yeah.
I'll be honest. I didn't go to the Barrow game. I had a family party, and
You lucky man.
I didn't even really pay attention to the score either. And another family member kept
Part-time.
so still
Part-time
0-0, still 0-0. And then by the time I got home, the news broke that Cook had been sacked. So here we are.
It's a shock. It's a shock.
I mean, I was a big fan of Cook. Sort of probably stuck with him probably longer than quite a few people, but I did get it. I could see that things weren't working. Shows they've been decisive, and here we are. So I think the manager search is an interesting one. I know that we're going to discuss it. People have got a lot of different thoughts, but yeah. And then as for Tuesday night, I had tickets. I was meant to go. I realised that actually my wife was going back to work after maternity leave that day. So I thought I'd get in trouble if I went to the game. So I actually sold the tickets to a Town fan on Twitter I'd never met before, handed them over at half-time in the Rotherham game. We had a bit of a moan about the first half of the Rotherham game. I actually messaged him after the Charlton game to apologise. I wasn't going to offer him his money back. But yeah, so I actually thanked my wife in the end for going back on Tuesday.
Brilliant. Love that. Saved by the wife. See, sometimes missing the football is good, you know.
Not often. But Tuesday night.
Yeah, more often than so.
Those two women at the Barrow game that were sat next to me, Martin, said to me as we were approaching full time, "Do you think Paul Cook might get sacked this season?" I said, "It's going to be sooner rather than later." Mark my words. I wasn't quite prepared for it to be a couple of hours later, but
absolutely,
yeah, they were shocked by when I said that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think we all were sort of edging toward, particularly at the full-time show, and then it finally happened. And let's get into the managerial search. We're still sitting here, Matt. Friday, it's the 10th of December. We're nearly a whole week on since Cookie got the bullet.
Yeah.
If I said to you on Sunday's show last week, we'd be sat here without a manager still, would you have believed me?
Yeah, I think it took a while for Ashton to find the Dean Holden replacement when he got Nigel Pearson in. My prediction is, Nostradamus here. My prediction is that you'll see something on Monday or Tuesday, I reckon, with a watching brief at Barrow for Wednesday, and then he's in charge for Saturday.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
That's what you're thinking.
The worry of the new manager is, though, right, Lewis, for me, is that Ashton, after a very thorough process, appointed Lee Johnson's assistant to Bristol City and did 18 wins and 18 defeats. And he was seen to be the man that was going to take Bristol City forward, and they got rid of him and got Nigel Pearson in. So that has got a little question mark over how good is Ashton actually at picking a manager.
Well, this is it. And Lewis, let's look at some of the names that have been mentioned today. Well, Alex Neil, let's start with that one. Ex-Norwich manager Alex Neil. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, he's Scottish, so I would have taken that, but not after Paul Lambert. So, I mean, he did well up in Scotland with Hamilton. Obviously, went to them up the road, got them up.
Yeah.
It's not particularly inspiring for me. No, not for me.
I actually think it'd be a good appointment for us, but I do get also what you're saying, and people have got Lambert fatigue as well, haven't they? Because with his Norwich baggage, I don't think Alex Neil's is as bad as what Lambert's is. You know, they beat us 5-1 at Pullman Road. He was celebrating in front of their supporters. He's a member of their Hall of Fame. Blah blah blah. And you know, Neil hasn't been there for a long while. But I mean, people did when he came down from Hamilton. You'll probably remember that. People were touting him as the next Alex Ferguson, and he done pretty well there, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Matt.
Yeah,
he did ride a real crest of a wave, and in fairness, he's done okay at Preston, hasn't he, as well, when he was there. Played some decent football. But,
yeah, I mean, look, they've got Ryan Lowe in.
So their manager got Ryan Lowe, didn't they? So, I mean, not a bad appointment, but I don't know. I just...
It's not an appointment that appeals to many because of the Norwich connection, but I don't really care for that, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think Ipswich fans, I agree with you. I mean, Ipswich fans, I'd get it with Lambert, right? I do get that. But, you know, in Europe, you see a lot of managers go between Inter and AC or Juventus and Torino, or, you know, name rival clubs. you see that a lot. I mean, look, we keep repeating the same things, don't we? You know, a name goes out. Oh, I don't want him. For what reason? Oh, because I don't like X, Y, and Z.
Well, yeah, we obviously we had 3 names on Wednesday's show, and that was Neil Lennon, John Terry, and Frank Lampard. Now, when you put Alex Neil next to those 3, for my money, his CV stands up a whole lot better. Next name mentioned today, Neil Harris. We know he's applied for the job, or certainly reading reports he's applied for the job. Matt, what are your thoughts on him? And then compare him to Alex Neil. Which one edges it there?
I've seen a few people sort of saying on Twitter and that Harris is the kind of Marcus Evans appointment. I do get that a little bit. He done very well. Well, he's a Millwall legend, isn't he? So he goes sort of hand in glove with them. He played for them. I think he's their record top scorer.
Yep.
And as you said to me the other night, Martin, he kind of took a team that you'd think was going to go down or struggle with relegation and took them to the tip of the playoffs. So, I mean, he's done a pretty good record there. I think he started off all right at Cardiff and then that kind of waned. I mean, McCarthy, he started off well at Cardiff and that fell apart, didn't it? So I would get that would not be particularly uninspiring in terms of a name, but again, he might just suit us. And going back to that Norwich connection, by the way, Joe Royle was a really good manager for us and played for Norwich. Paul Cook played for Norwich, people don't realise.
Yep.
So, you know, gloss over it.
Yeah. Lewis, Neil Harris?
Yeah, I think the fact that he did good work with Millwall, he got them promoted, and they have kicked on since then. They always seem, well, the last couple of years, they've been just outside the playoffs each year, made a good run, maybe just missed out. But I think he's offered a fair amount of stability and was able to get them up. He was kind of on an upward trajectory when he went to Cardiff. I think they got in the playoffs, didn't they? The first season under him and lost to Fulham, if I'm right.
Yeah,
so there's obviously something there.
Great, yeah.
I think it would be a solid appointment. Funny you should mention Joe Royle, because I was thinking about it earlier. I think everybody has question marks against every single name that's been mentioned for different reasons. But a lot of people had question marks when Joe Royle took over. And look how that worked out. That worked out really, really well. We played great football. Joe Royle was such an underrated manager for us. He, you know, during really difficult financial times, he galvanised us. He gave youth an opportunity. So with some of these names, or whoever it is that is the man that comes into the role, I'll 100% get behind them. You know, even if it is Alex Neil, I absolutely will get behind him from day one, as I did with Paul Cook, as I did with Paul Lambert. Although I'm going to be honest, my enthusiasm behind Lambert probably lasted less than it did for Paul Cook. As I say, I was a big fan of Paul Cook. Yeah. But I think with all these managers, you know, they obviously all feel they've got something to offer. And I think with all the names that have been mentioned, one of the things we don't necessarily take into account is they would see it as a progression that they could go on a kind of journey with us. Whereas I kind of always got the impression with McCarthy, certainly with Lambert, even maybe a little bit with Paul Jewell, with Roy Keane, it always seemed like they felt like they were doing us a favour. They were bigger than the club, and, you know, they dropped down to manage Ipswich. Whereas with someone like Neil Harris or some of the other names that have been linked, I do kind of see them progressing potentially with us. And I think that's something we have to consider. Again, would it excite the fan base? Probably not. But I'd certainly get behind them. And if it is Neil Harris, then so be it.
Yeah.
Okay. The surprise
results would excite the fan base, wouldn't it? If he came in and whoever it was came in and got 2-3 results back to back, then suddenly the context changes, doesn't it?
And that goes with style of play as well. I see a lot of people saying about the style of play in terms of Neil Harris, and it's a bit like McCarthy. I think where we're at right now, we have to just get results any way we can. And I was one of the biggest cheerleaders in wanting McCarthy out because of the football. But we were in a different place back then. We had better players. We had much better squad that at the time that we all felt as fans could play some decent football, just was maybe playing with the handbrake on too much. In the Championship, we're now in League One, sitting 11th. We need to win games to get ourselves back to the point we were at where we decide how the style of play goes. The third name, a surprise name, Tony Mowbray, Lewis, was mentioned. Obviously, you don't need to be a Town fan of many years or any years to know that he's a legend here. What are your thoughts on potentially? I don't think it's going to happen because of where Blackburn are, but who knows? You know, the club that Did he say saved him in the documentary?
Mm.
Could he come back to save us now? What's your thoughts on Mowbray?
Always been a big fan of Mowbray. He's managed in the Premier League. Always tries to play good football. Town legend. Like you, I don't see it happening. I think if Blackburn were mid-table, where they have been the last couple of years, then I understand his contract's up at the end of the summer currently, but they're fourth and they're doing well. They're in the playoffs. It's the best season so far that they've had in years. I just can't see it as much as I'd love it. And it gives goosebumps to think of next Saturday, full house, owners there, Sunderland at home, and Mogul walks out. But a part of me feels it's wishful thinking. I'd really love to see it, but yeah, just not sure. I mean, it's good that we're targeting that calibre of manager from the Championship.
If we indeed are, yep.
It could happen, but yeah, if I was going to put money somewhere, I don't think I'd put it on Mowbray as much as I'd like it to be here.
Matt, Lewis mentions Blackburn's league position there, but whenever I hear the words Blackburn Rovers, it's normally followed by a slamming statement about how poor they're playing, or the poor this, or Mowbray's not getting the best out of us here, or whatever that the fans appear to be saying. They never seem to be happy about Mowbray. Could, with only 6 months left of a deal, could this be the out?
Maybe. I mean, it
leaves them fourth.
It does. I mean, I do agree with Lewis. It does feel like a little bit of wishful thinking. I'm trying to put where this has come from. Obviously, he's got the Ipswich connections, and as Colin rightly says in the comments there, his wife is from Ipswich, but they live in Middlesbrough still, all around that area, and he commutes to Blackburn.
Stephen Parry's thoughts, do you think? His contract's up, maybe agent using this to push for a deal?
I'm just wondering whether or not Mogul was the West Brom manager or was around West Brom structure when O'Leary was the chairman there. I don't know off the top of my head. I wonder if it's come from there. Maybe there's a connection there somehow. He did well there and won them. I think he won them the title. He's only gone promoted, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. But I mean, it feels like wishful thinking. I mean, why would you leave Blackburn in fourth to come to mid-table League One? It don't make any sense, that to me.
06 to 09, he was there.
Oh, maybe not then. Maybe not. But that doesn't mean, of course, they don't know each other.
Yeah.
But that would seem a weird move to me in terms of your own career, right?
It's got Mark Venus as his assistant as well, hasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's a great pairing for us. I mean, maybe that could. I'm sort of discounting maybe there'd be some kind of interim appointment through to the end of the season, and maybe a deal could be done. But Ashton has surprised us previously in terms of the players he's managed to get here by selling the vision. But I don't know. I really don't know. I think that's wishful thinking. I agree. I think that's wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I think as Stephen's just mentioned in the chat, they could have had a conversation regardless of this, in that this is going to be his last year. They possibly want to take it in a different direction. I mean, maybe I'm clutching at straws. You never know. I don't think any of us know. But,
give up a chance to get to the Premier League, though, to come to League One. That's as close as he's got to it in years.
No, but if he's been told his contract's not going to be renewed at the end of the season because they're going to go in a different direction, he's not going to get that opportunity to manage in the Premier League anyway.
I do think maybe some of the criticism Mowbray gets off Blackburn fans is the fact they got slapped 7-0 by Fulham in the season.
Such a bizarre result, though, because either side of that, they've been on a great run, haven't they? I think they had a player sent off. I mean, from memory, I think it was 2-0 at the time to Fulham when they had their defender sent off. But
just go on what you said there, Lewis. Could this be coming because Blackburn are looking to cash in for a comp package as a way of, look, we know he's not the long-term future. We may as well get a little bit of money for the manager instead of letting his contract run out. And do you know what I mean?
It's possible, isn't it? And it's that kind of, is it that sort of Charlton under Kerbishley syndrome of ticking along, doing okay, and they possibly feel they can do better, or they feel that they can identify someone who can get them over the line. Probably not this season. I think they're too far behind Bournemouth and Fulham and West Brom to be able to sort of seriously say they're going for automatics, but certainly in the playoffs. Yeah. And maybe, they see it as a way of cashing in, getting someone in to get them over the line. But I think it's good that we're in this position where if there was compensation package to be paid, we know now that we would stump up the money, whereas before it was kind of scraping the barrel. Mowbray would never have come here under Evans, and I think I'd read that. Or maybe someone on here had said it previously that Mowbray wouldn't have come here under Evans, whereas it's a whole new regime now.
I really like Gary Blake's message there, Lewis. Mogul is the only credible candidate that would unite the fans.
Yeah, just a good.
Which is,
good.
which is true. I don't think many, if any, would say, "Oh, I think some would," because we live in the day and age of Twitter likes, where you fish for them. So when you see an opinion going one way, there's always one that decides, "Well, I've got to go that way to fish for the likes." Rob Smith, though, probably nails it, Matt. Ashton holds his card close to his chest, and new manager with something. Yeah, we've probably not mentioned him. He's probably never been mentioned by anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, I hope so. That feels like that could happen. I think the most likely scenario with Mogul is that Ipswich would request permission to talk to him, and then he gets offered a new 2-3 year deal by Blackburn. That's probably the most likely scenario, I think. What would you want to give up on a manager who's got you to do a point off third of West Brom?
Well, talking of giving up, a player that we'd given up, and now we've brought back into the fold. James Norwood, Matthew Phillips is back training with the first team, could potentially be back in the first 11 or set off the bench tomorrow. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we were under the impression, reading between lines and things, that he was training with the 23s because of certain things that have happened and wasn't available to play, and it people thought he'd asked to his contract to be paid up, etc., etc. But for whatever reason, Cook has gone and he's back in the fold. I mean, listen, we ain't scoring goals at all and look like scoring goals. So if you're paying a striker, you might as well have him in the squad, is my opinion.
Lewis?
I kind of feel...
Get off that fence, son.
Not for me. I wouldn't play him. I think we need to look forward. And I think that, Norwood's been discussed so many times on here, online, on forums, everywhere. He does divide opinion of the supporters. There's some people that say, I'd chuck him in, I'd have him starting. Some people say I'd have him nowhere near the club because of field antics. I wouldn't go as far as that. And I don't want to get into the debate around Norwood personally, but, I just feel we've moved away from that. The one thing I would say that I find really strange, just to maybe continue a bit from what Matt was saying, Norwood himself said that it wasn't Cook that had kept him away from the squad. Cook would have selected him. He put out a post, didn't he, after Cook was sacked. Well, the only change in the last week is Cook going. And now all of a sudden he's been brought back into the fray. So something didn't add up to me, because he kind of intimated that the decision to keep him away had come from elsewhere. Well, if it was Mark Ashton, if it was anyone else, they're still there. And yet he seems to have come back into the fold. So I thought it was a bit strange, because I've just made the assumption that, okay, well, it's clearly not Cook. There's obviously decisions that have been made elsewhere within the club, possibly because of, things that have happened and looking at the reputation of the club and everything else. But, like I say, we could probably debate this all night. I'm sure there's plenty of people that will feel he should be starting tomorrow. But for me, I think there's other players I would select in the attacking positions, even though, for example, Bond's not been at it recently, and we may go through sort of predicted lineups or chosen lineups later. Norwood wouldn't be in one.
I think Norwood, Matt, this conversation about Norwood is a lot like the incident with Toto and Ciala on Tuesday. It's not the reason why we're getting absolutely mullered. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't look at Tuesday and I think, if only James Norwood had played. I don't look at Crewe and think, if only James Norwood had played. Yes, we won the game, but we didn't play well. I don't think about tomorrow and think, you've got Bond. Yeah, he's not scoring, but you've got Joe Piggott, who hasn't had any minutes, scored more goals than James Norwood did last year. But you're still going to have the same issues, whether it's Norwood, Bond, or Piggott up front, of we ain't creating chances anymore.
No, we're not. That's why I think, like you say, we might come to teams later. That's why I probably think we need a bit of a change up in midfield somehow. Mm-hmm. But yeah, maybe it's just desperation stakes. We're closer to the bottom four than we are the top six at the moment. So maybe they've just, to give McGreal an opportunity, so he's not hamstrung. Pardon the pun, talking Norwood. So he's not hamstrung in terms of selection, making all players available. People do come back from the cold. We was led to believe Jackson was training with the 23s and he come back, didn't they?
Yeah, as someone who said, Rob Smith, Norwood will score or get sent off or put his hamstring. Never a dull moment. And that's fairly accurate with that.
Yeah. It's funny.
I think that's really key. Sorry to interrupt, but I think that's really key, though. We're going into a really busy schedule. And let's say, for example, we play Norwood tomorrow and he scores. scores a couple, is he then going to be our main striker? And can we really rely on him to stay fit over a busy period? I think Norwood will do a good job elsewhere in League One. I certainly think he can play at that level. I just think that ship sailed for us, and I suspect he'll go in January, regardless of the fact he's back in the fold now.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I was going to say, man, I watched a Charlton pod on Wednesday, looking back on the Ipswich game, and the guy who ran the pod, the Charlton, he was talking to camera a bit like the Alex Griffin style stuff. And he was like, obviously really pleased that they'd won and beaten us because he felt like they were now back in the playoff mix. Yet they're still, just looking at, they're still like 2 points off us. And here we are talking, it's me saying the season's pretty much over. But yet they seem to still think they can make the top six. It's interesting, isn't it? It's
not over. It's not over. And a new coach could really galvanise us. Are we now entering the festive period, do you feel? It's tomorrow the start of the festive fixtures.
Sort of, I suppose. Like Lou said, you're now getting into that situation where you've got 3 or 4 games in a week, potentially. Barrow is probably a bit of a hiccup now, isn't it? Serves us right for not being him at Portman Road because you've got the new guy coming in, whoever that's going to be, would probably like the time on the training ground rather than have to schlep up to Barrow and watch him from afar. You know what I mean? Which I think is what's going to happen. You could do that time on the train, or John McGreal could do that time with him on the training ground. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I asked because I'm often criticised for my humbugness at Christmas, so I wanted to make sure I knew when to get festive. That was all.
I'd say the festive period for me starts next Saturday.
Yeah,
I think my point was more if Norwood plays tomorrow and scores, he's then going into the festive period as our potential number one. But the Christmas tree's going up as we speak in my house. So I suppose it is the start of the festive period.
All right. Well, in that case, let's change the background. There it is. Ooh. There it is. I've even got something special as well. Give me a moment, just here, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Merry Christmas, everybody. There you go. You wanted festive, you've got festive, all right?
We had Cole Fuller, didn't we, on last year, dressed as Santa, in his blue. Now, Gary Denny making a point here. Mark Bircham. Now, where has this come from? Mark Bircham.
From Mark Bircham? I don't know. I
don't get that one. I think that's really weird. He's like a QPR super fan, Mark Bircham. Apparently, he came close to getting that job when Robertson got it. He got down to the final 2 or 3, I think. Maybe because they would know that he would probably galvanise their supporters. A bit like Mowbray would for us, I suppose. But I mean, I find that very odd that he would be linked with us. I don't see the connection other than he knows Frank Yellow.
He was at the game the other night, wasn't he? He put it on social media on his story, a picture of the team sheet, but then the club were quite quick to say that he wasn't there.
There's no doubt he knows Yellow because he was with him as a coach at Arizona and Chicago. But unless Frank sort of said he's an up-and-coming guy, I don't know. But, I mean, it just seems a weird connection, that to me. I don't get that one. Look at that.
Never know, but I'd be highly surprised if he's the next Ipswich Town manager.
Santa must be teetotal because
that's difficult drinking a pint.
Bloody hard work drinking that with a pint, mate. I tell you that much, right? Sex. Oh, he's easy, Colin, easy. Chris is very worried by the names in the running for the manager. Bircham was at Phoenix with Yallop. So Connor Chaplin spoke to the press. He said there's been an open and honest conversation in the dressing room, definitely. People have voiced their opinions, and like I said, talking's fine. It's fine to say where you think it's gone wrong and where you need to improve, but we need to start showing it, start putting performances on the pitch and start fighting and scrapping. So if you both had 1 minute with this group of players and you could be brutally honest, and I want some fun things in the chat, what would you say to this group of players? Matthew Phillips, I'll start with you as the senior contributor.
I would, it always makes me, look, we interviewed Connor and it was great and we really enjoyed it. I would wonder when they said we've had some frank and honest conversations, what they actually consist of. Because are they saying they don't like 4-2-3-1? They don't want to play that? They want to play some other kind of system? I don't get it. What are the frank and honest conversations? Because at one point we were scoring goals for fun. You know, if you listen back to the game in the week and the Charlton commentators are going, you know, we've managed to hold Ipswich Town to a clean sheet. Do you know what I mean? Who thought we were coming there with goals coming out of our ears? And it just hasn't happened, has it, since the Wigan game? So I'd like to know what that honest and frank conversation is. We've said it on this show before, and you saw it on Tuesday night. The team is slow. They lack so much energy. And I've said that about previous regimes as well, be it under Lambert, be it under McCarthy. I used to think the team looked slow. They look so lethargic. They don't break with any kind of momentum or energy. And when they do, you see like Aluko and Edwards just miscontrolling or mishitting the ball at 5 yards in front of them. Fundamentals are just missing.
The thing is, though, Lewis, Matt says pace and power are missing. That's one of the things Cookie said we'd have with one of his teams. They're built on pace and power.
Yeah, and it's just not happened, has it? Whether it's people coming back from injury, it's just, yeah. I mean, even if you look at the fullbacks, you know, he played Bailey Clements in the last handful of games, and he played Donasian on the other side. They're not, you know, regardless of how well Donasian's played this season, bar Tuesday night, they're not your pacey wing backs that he's looking to build upon. I think Evans' job has always been to kind of sit there and look to spray passes out to the wing backs. And look, I know Evans has been criticised heavily. I think he should be doing a lot more. He should be taking games by the scruff of the neck. But if you are picking up the ball in deep midfield, looking up, and rather than, you know, your fullback, your wing back being another 10 yards further up the pitch, they're kind of stood in line with your centre halves. I think that's part of the problem. And it's the same in the wide areas as well. Kyle Edwards has got pace, he's got skill. But I think, having watched him recently, and I think it's a confidence thing, he plays on the left, but he's right-footed. And the whole point was he cuts inside, beats players, looks to have a shot, looks to lay it off. I think he's been taking the easy option and going down the outside, running into blind alleys. And I think that's a confidence thing. And yeah, you're right, there isn't the pace. And as much as I'm a massive Scott Fraser fan, the other night in particular, he looked quite slow. Now, whether that's a fitness issue, he's had a bit of a knock and injury, hasn't he? But yeah, we just haven't got that pace and power that Cook talked about, like you say.
Slow, Lewis. I think he's just slow.
He looked isolated, to be fair. When I spoke to Barry from Wigan about Morsey and Evans, he said Evans was used as a super sub, came on, protected the back four, sprayed a few passes, but was very slow. And he said Morsey's one-dimensional, will pass the way he's kind of facing, or let the ball run across him. And when midfielders know that trick, they counter him. And he's right, because we are very, very, very slow, and they're both very slow in the midfield. We've got some comments. We've got Andrew Robertson says, first thing I would do is drop Morsey. Underwhelming so far. Matt would blindfold Morsey, spin him around a few hundred times, take the blindfold off, and then maybe go forwards, not sideways. Sarah says, yeah, the government's finally gone festive. The likeness is uncanny. Yes, festive. This is it. I saw it and I thought of you, Sarah. I thought, there you go. That's what the people were like on Talking Town. Minnow, betting market is so small. Yeah, by the way, Terry Noonan has been on the betting market. I absolutely appreciate your commitment and your help in the comments there, Terry, on all our shows, telling us where the betting movements are. It really helps me. I've been looking out for it. So thank you ever so much. Craig, Tuesday was the first game all season I'd seen one of our keepers release the ball quickly. Yeah, I saw that Tuesday myself and I laughed because I thought, fine, Cook's just been sacked and now you finally released the ball quickly.
Well, you remember the Barrow game last week? We sat there, we was in earshot of Cook, and he absolutely gave Walton a right going over, didn't he? Saying, get the ball away quicker.
Yeah, he was hammering him.
He's taking all the time in the world, Lewis, to get this ball away, and Cook went mental at him.
But it was the same in the Crew game as well. I know we won the game, but he was so slow at releasing the ball. Everyone around me and Bobby Robertson lower were getting onto him about not releasing it quick enough. Even when players were free and there was that opportunity to break. And I think some of that comes down to confidence. People are second guessing themselves and not looking to play forward and not looking to play quickly for fear of making a mistake. And then we're dallying on the ball or dallying in possession and getting caught out anyway. And I can't believe how quickly confidence has dropped off a cliff even before Cook was sacked. So, yeah, hopefully Tuesday's a springboard now.
Here's a question for you. Is Edwards a downgrade on Keenan Bennett?
Oh, easy, fella. Easy.
Had the pace, had the skills, could score goals. We haven't seen that.
Could he?
Yeah. He scored a couple of goals, 2-3 goals for us, I think.
He scored one,
He scored one from memory, but I might be wrong.
I think he got more than that.
He got one. One. But, we've discussed this at length, particularly on Tuesday's show. Steve said he's better than Bennett because at least he takes the ball with him. Doesn't do anything with the ball when he takes it with him, but at least he takes it with him. Lewis, Chaplin also talked about Cookie's removal. He said, I was gutted when I found out the news, the same as everyone else. It was a surprise at the time, but it just outlines the ambition and the way the club's going, not waiting for anyone, and they want success now. As a player, it's exciting, but at the same time, if you're not doing your job well and bringing enough to the table, then you need to have a look at yourself, because otherwise you won't be at the club for long. That's exciting for a player. You want to be a part of a project and ambition. That's a big thing for your career. And I don't think a lot of players will have the opportunity to play at a club like this with massive ambition in their career. So ruthless ambition. Is it a good thing for the players, as Chaplin suggests there, or is it a case of looking over your shoulder and being fearful when you see that a manager, you know, has gone already and that's the level of the club? I'll ask both of you, but Lewis can kick us off with that one.
I think for any professional footballer to have made it as a professional footballer, when there's so many thousands of kids, you know, growing up who have wanted to, have had the talent, have had the ability, they must have had that self-belief. So I think for them, they have to look at it as positive. They have to look at it as a springboard, an opportunity to impress the new guy and do whatever it takes to be in that starting 11, which is why I was so shocked by the performance on Tuesday night. I doubt McGreal was going to be the full-time manager, but they're still in the shop window at the moment, all of them. And they really need to take that opportunity. They, you know, okay, I mean, it's easier for me to say, and look, to answer your previous question about what would I say if I had 1 minute with the players, I wouldn't say anything. I would have brought Colin or the Cruncher into the room after the show the other night and the passion they showed. And you could see from Colin how upset and hurt he was. I'd play him that. I think that would be my motivation. So I'm hoping that the pennies drop for some of them after Tuesday and they now see, actually, do you know what? Cook's gone. I'm languishing in League One when I fancy myself as a championship player or whatever. I've got to look after myself here. I've got to make sure that I'm undroppable. And hopefully we see the benefits. It might be wishful thinking in some cases, and I'm sure there will be more players that fall by the wayside. But if I were a player, and like Chaplin, I think Chaplin gets it, and I think Chaplin will be fine. I think there are other players that could brought in who will fall by the wayside. And there's been some question marks raised over some pretty high-profile players this week. I don't need to name them as a result of their performance on Tuesday night. And then rumours about, did they even want to be here in the first place? Well, you know, I saw Swansea were linked with Scott Fraser earlier for a January bid. I suspect there'll be other clubs linked with players that could be brought in. And you know, I have absolutely no doubt if players move on, we'll bring other players in. I don't really want to go through that whole sort of cycle of replacing players, especially not so quickly. I want it to work for the players that we've got currently, but they've got to want it to work. They can't feel sorry for themselves now. We are currently a mid-table League One team. They are currently mid-table League One players, regardless of what they've done previously. So I'm hoping tomorrow's the springboard for them to take it on.
I suppose, though, in reality, it's how you view it. Like, I've always viewed it as these players are not League One mid-table players. They're much better players that aren't being put in the right position to succeed. Hence why, as far back as Bolton, I was right. He's got to go. I see your point, and you're right. The facts don't lie, and they certainly don't care for your feelings. But I still think this is a group of players, Matt, that you've got all the ingredients there, and we mustn't be too quick to write people off. Like Scott Fraser, Swansea, and I saw so many people posting, "Oh, good," or "I'll drive him," or it's like, fuck me, they've been here for a cup of coffee or two. Like, I want to keep the best player in League One when we signed him for a little bit longer than a few months to see if it was a Cook issue or if it was a playing out wide on the left issue. Because this for me, this squad is good that a manager should be able to get a top six finish minimum out of it. This ain't Drennan, Hawkins, Ward, Dazelle and Downs we're talking about here, is it?
No. But by the same token, of course, we've not. I've said on this here before, I don't think Fraser makes any impact in the game whatsoever. But again, that might not be his fault. He's been playing in a multitude of positions. I mean, he's had a cameo at 10. He's played in the 2. He's been over on the left. He's probably been over on the right. So maybe it's, you know, maybe he's getting Freddie Sears syndrome, playing in multiple positions and not making much of an impact in any of them.
You got to play Fraser in the middle, and you got to give him the ball. And actually, even despite what people have said, he has created a fair few goals and he's created a fair few chances when he's played deeper. I certainly wouldn't be advocating Scott Fraser or any of them going. I think it's more just a case of, I think they just need to take stock of where they're at, dig their heels in. And I believe most of them are championship players. And I actually feel in Edmondson's case, for example, he could play in the Premier League one day.
Yeah,
I think they
100%.
just need to take stock and show that resilience. to bounce back from this. People are questioning them. Hopefully they come out tomorrow and they prove us all wrong.
It's quite hard to bounce back, though, isn't it? After that, it's not a click of the fingers and hold on a minute, we're going to play like we did at Wickham. We played like we did at Pompey. It's difficult. What I was going to say was, in those Chaplin comments, we said, "Oh, well, this shows the ruthless ambition of the owners." Do the names we've spoken about tonight show ruthless ambition? Ruthless ambition to me means you have it's Roy Keane or someone of that ilk, someone that's going to get people excited or has a track record higher up. With all respect to Neil Harris.
A Mowbray.
Yeah. Well, even maybe bigger than Tony Mowbray, in all honesty. I mean,
I don't know. You could sell it as a legend coming back, 4th in the Championship, managed at the highest level, got a team like Blackburn from League One back into the Championship, first time of asking. This is pedigree.
He probably is an upgrade on Cook. When you look
Big upgrade on Cook.
But I don't think anyone else is in that list, though.
No.
Not Neil Harris. I'm seeing comments now, I think Neil Harris is going to get it. That doesn't match up to what Chaplin's saying.
But it's the wrong time of year, Matt, for a glitzy name. Because the only glitzy names you've got are the guys that.
Well, you've got your 2 names you ain't mentioned yet. The Chelsea boys. Frankie. John Terry.
Lampard and Terry that we took on Wednesday. Yeah.
Why do people not think,
even those will have detractors.
Why do people not think that Lampard wouldn't come in? I get why he would, because he was still being paid by Chelsea, right, up until July. So he was earning about, I think his yearly salary was just under 4 mil. So you could do a deal where they pay him 2 million and then 2 million on promotion or whatever, and suddenly you're matching his wages. But then you've Frank Lampard, right? You've managed Chelsea, you've managed Derby, you've managed Chelsea in the Champions League. Are you really going to come down to League One? That seems quite a big jump to me. I don't think that'd be a big jump for John Terry as a first role. I don't think that'd be a big jump for him. For Lampard,
no, I don't.
Maybe it would be.
No, I don't either. I did mention Wayne Rooney a week ago.
Dara said he's focused on.
Or 5 days ago. Yeah, because he's done a great job at Derby, but under really, really difficult circumstances.
He must be looking for a way out of there, you would have thought. You're destined. What's the point of the rest of the season? They're destined to come down to League One. You're going to be in League One anyway.
Yeah. Chris Boyd, the squad must have been shocked by the reaction to their performance and the event at the final whistle on Tuesday, but they aren't good enough as a team for it to make a difference tomorrow. Stephen Parry has depressed me. He's told me this is available for £1 in Poundland. I bought fucking £8 this cost me, this get up. £8. And he can get it for £1. I want my £7 back. I won't say where I bought it from, but it rhymes with
I just think when we're talking, do you agree, Luis? When we're seeing those comments, ambition, ruthless ambition, that's just to me a big name. That's just to me an A-class name.
Gus Poyet?
I don't know what Gus is doing. He came hand in hand with Tarico, but Tarico was on the coaching staff at Bordeaux, I believe. I don't know if he still is. He was there.
Last Sunday, I threw a name out there of Slaven Bilic. But I've since learned, I think he's managing in China. I did a little bit of research after I just threw it out there. Just as a manager that has done it international level, managed in the Premier League recently. West Brom connection. I know he wasn't there when O'Leary was there, but I'm sure they have contacts and people that would talk. And also as well, when Bilic was manager of West Brom, did that not see the best of Raheem Harper and Kyle Edwards? Because it was after he left and Allardyce came in that he bombed them both out. So, I mean, I don't know what happened. I think Mike D is very big on Djukanovic, isn't he? Is another one. But
he's got good. Yeah, I think he's a good manager. It's not worked out for him at Sheffield United for whatever reason, but he's got a really good track record. Going back to Bilic, Chris, our friend from West Brom, he never wanted him to go. He really likes him. He wanted him to stay. He said a lot of West Brom fans were like that.
I think the thing with Lampard's very much in danger of kind of losing sight of where his place is, if that makes sense. In that he was at Derby, he was backed, he made the playoffs, didn't get them up. Obviously went to Chelsea and only got the Chelsea job because he was Frank Lampard. And I feel he's kind of stuck somewhere between believing he's a Premier League manager without necessarily the pedigree. And we kind of saw it with Eddie Howe. Until Newcastle took a punt on him, he was holding out for the right job. And very quickly, football moves on and you can get left behind. So, I mean, I don't know where Lampard's next move would be. I thought maybe it might end up being Norwich, but he wasn't interested in that. I mean, obviously, we're a bigger club. But
Yeah. He was 40-1 on at the time. At one point,
Yeah,
like it was a done deal.
I just feel for Lampard, it would be a really good opportunity to get us up with backing eventually, whether it be this year or next year, and then establish us in the Championship. He'd have a League One promotion under his belt. Okay, that's relatively small fry, but then if he can get us firing in the Championship, which is what the owner's ambition is, to get us up in the upper echelons of the Championship, surely then there's always that possibility of we could springboard into a role in the Premier League again. Because like I say, unless he goes somewhere like Scotland, don't know where Lampard's going to end up going to bounce back into the Premier League.
Yeah.
He should have taken the Norwich job.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to say it, because it was a job that everyone saw as already foregone. They're relegated. There were no hopers. So you literally couldn't have done anything but been a positive, because they're down in so many people's eyes, including their own fans.
I wonder why. So he went from 40-1 on, right? So you got to spend 40 quid to get a pound note, to suddenly not taking the job at all. So I wonder what the sticking point was there. But you're right. He must have known that he would probably be, in all sense of purpose, he'd be in the Championship season. But by the same token, he comes in, gets a run at Ipswich, could be in the Championship next season. So he still could theoretically be in the same scenario.
I read an Athletic article that suggested that Lampard was the front runner for the Norwich job. They interviewed him, and then he phoned back and said actually he wasn't interested. So they then went with Dean Smith, and but it was very much, from memory, the article in the Athletic was very much Lampard was the original sort of front runner, if you like. Probably for the same sort of reasons as we're talking about him. You know, I think the director of football there, name escapes me. I know who it is. I can see him. Yes, wanted to go in his own direction, bit of a glitzy name, you know, more of a progressive name, and for the same reason we are. Mike D asked, great question. What's the actually? Let me put it on the screen for the guys and girls who want to see it. Who are your wild card managers? Someone we've not talked about yet. I can go first if you want time to think about it. I said it last week. Rob Edwards at Forest Green. I think it'd be a great shout. He's got Forest Green rocking and rolling. Just one manager of the month. They're top of the table. Forest Green, top of the table. I mean, that's, you know, that says it all. Ex-Wolves under-23 manager. So he's got pedigree of working with young players, bringing them through, having the pathway, everything that Town want to do, particularly with the player trading model that you bring young players and you develop them, you sell them on for big, big money. And it's just a bit like Liam Manning, but already got a bit more experience about him.
Is he going to galvanise the dressing room though? Is he going to bring? Is he the upgrade from Cook? I don't see that. I mean, I think he's doing a great job. Don't get me wrong, really good. But is he the right fit for Ipswich? Is he the right fit? I don't get it. That's not marrying up with Chaplin's comments for me.
In that case, you're going for. I fully get what you're saying, and you're probably right. But you're then going for you're pigeonholing yourself with your managerial choice here, because you're going for a dare I say it, a Pulis, a McCarthy, a Warnock, somebody who's going to come in, got a lot of trophies on the wall, got a lot of experience, knows how to handle players, and can give them a rocket. And then not only give them a rocket, but give them a rocket while saying, when I worked with Robbie Keane, when I've worked with, you know, other top players, that makes you sit up and you listen. A John Terry, great name, would lead by example, could probably still outplay most players on the training field. But if you're a senior player, I'm not going to say names, if you're a senior player and you're being told anything, it's his first gig. Like, you know.
Yeah, but he was coach at Villa, wasn't he? So he's coached. He has coached in the Championship and in the Premier League. I can't think of a wild card name off the top of my head. I think probably someone like a Lampard is probably the wild card.
Who do you want?
Who do I actually want?
Come on, do a Greece. You're the one that I want. You are the one.
See, I'm torn between two here. I think if you think back to when McGreal was
fence sitting, not allowed.
When McGreal was announced by Ashton the other week, it was very interesting to me that he said, but John came in, he's with the 23s, he knows Dyer, he's got Rene Gilmartin with him, who we know very well from Bristol City. It's always this who we know. And I think that plays a huge part in Ashton's selection process. Hence the reason why he went with that Dean Holden at Bristol City. They already knew him. I think he will end up going with someone that he trusts. I still think it's going to be Appleton, mate. I think they'll want to say. I still keep going back to this safe pair of hands for this, because they're in the shit at the moment.
And he can galvanise a dressing room. This dressing room.
I don't know, but I'm just saying. I'm telling you that's what I think is going to happen. just in terms of how I think Ashton operates. Me personally, I'd like to see a Roy Keane style appointment again. I'd like to see a John Terry or a Frank Lampard.
About
yes.
Ian Everett.
Oh, Ian Everett.
Everett.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good up-and-coming manager. Bit of a tough nut by all accounts. Maybe a foreign manager of some kind. What about Daniel Farker? He ain't doing much. He's proved all right in the Football League, hasn't he?
I know George has been absolutely in love with Nitson.
Is that the Norwegian guy?
Yeah, the guy that beat Roma 104-0. Great stuff. Terry says wild card Chris Coleman, really wild card Mark Hughes, and silly foreign wild card Joachim Low. Good grief! I don't know.
Like Lord Voldemort.
Lewis, have you got a wild card or somebody you really want that we've not spoken about?
Someone we haven't spoke about. I'm not saying I necessarily want him. And again, ex-Norwich connection. I don't know exactly what the situation is with the ownership, and I don't think anybody does at the moment. Mark Robbins. Got Coventry up. Good manager. Stabilised them in the Championship. As I say, I don't know what the ownership is currently, what's going on at Coventry. I don't think anybody does. There's always the issues with the ground and so on and so forth. But could he feel it's hit a glass ceiling and we're potentially able to go higher than that? Like I say, it's a name I'm just trying to rack my brains and throw another one in the mix. I'm not 100% behind him. I feel a little bit stuck after Tuesday night. Tuesday night, I was quite keen on a young up-and-coming coach because I thought that fitted in with the project of Mark Ashton and the new owners. Then having seen Tuesday night and the reaction of the players to having McGreal, to the adversity, for want of a better word, I wonder if they're almost the case they'd eat a young coach alive, almost some of them. They'd down tools, would they do? I don't know. Now, these are professional footballers and I shouldn't be, who am I to kind of challenge that or criticise? But we saw it Tuesday night, didn't get the reaction. And are there some that feel they're doing us a favour by playing in League One? We don't know, but that's been questioned. So I then kind of thought, what about a Warnock? And a lot of people had said Warnock. Now, this isn't any slight on Warnock and his history in the game. He's a bit of a lower league legend, isn't he? He's a character. He'd certainly G'd him up. But it would only be till the end of the season. Yeah. What would happen if Warnock comes in and things improve slightly, but we don't make the playoffs? We're then back, almost wasted a year. We're back where we were last summer, in that we've then got to find a new manager who's got to come in, he's got to work with players, bring in his own players. And so, I see it potentially being short-term goal. I think that would completely move away from Mark Ashton being the man with the plan, which is what he has led us to believe. There is always a plan for everything. And I just think if we went down the route of a Warnock, that would be knee-jerk. So like I say, I'm kind of stuck between young up-and-coming or instant success. And then, that's why I think there's so many question marks. And I think the problem is we were all united as supporters at the beginning of the season. We were all behind the owners. We were all behind the team. And I think whoever we get, potentially, unless it's someone like Mogul, is going to divide the opinion of the fan base. Yeah. And a bad start of, say we don't win over the pack-out PR period, where are we at then? What are we going to do then? It's a really critical appointment. I know everyone said that, but I don't know if I'm fully behind, we'll get Warnock in, because I don't think it will guarantee we're going to make top six. No. I love Warnock. I think he's a real character, but it would just be, it would come across to me as a bit knee-jerk, and I don't see that in Mark Ashton. I don't see that in the owners.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that at all. It just feels like to me it's got to be, I agree with you after Tuesday. I agree with you. It feels like to me it's got to be this name. It's got to be a name. I mean, another wild card we not spoke about, it's Allardyce maybe. I don't know, it's going to be something ilk. I just got this feeling it's going to be.
If you want to, Joe Bradley says, I don't understand the fascination with the old guard English managers. If we get one in, it'll be taking steps forward with the new owners, steps back with the managers. You want somebody who's going to galvanise the dressing room. Lewis is about an upcoming manager. Well, how about somebody who is still up and coming and can galvanise the dressing room, as proved last year? Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank.
Yeah, good shout.
Galvanised Burton, that looked dead and buried.
Yeah.
Still an up and coming manager.
Yeah, I agree.
got the glitz and the glamour of the career, like, you know, similar to John Terry, Frank Lampard, perhaps not as good as them, but certainly played at that top level. That would be a good appointment, I feel.
Yeah, I think I said it last week. He was probably manager of the year when he came in at Burton and took a team that was nosediving towards League Two quite comfortably by Christmas into a team that finished just behind us.
A month earlier, they'd have finished in the playoffs. If he had been appointed a month earlier, just a month earlier, you know, because he had them from dead and buried to proverbial player, and I just feel that'd be a great progressive, you know, and he's still recognisable on the main circuit. Look at Sky Sports the other weekend in between Roy Keane and Jamie Carragher, you know, so he's still certainly recognisable in that respect. If you wanted to go with the name per se, as you were saying earlier, with the owners may do.
Yeah. No,
he's got.
Disagree with that.
He's got more of a background than Terry has or Lampard has in terms of success or ability to show. Martin Reusser is another name fans keep coming up with, but yet, you know, is he happy in the Dutch circuit? Probably so. I mean, I wouldn't leave that. That's a nice job.
He's in the Dutch national youth team set up, any under-19s or something. He's coaching there or something. Yeah.
The thing with Hasselbank, I work with a Charlton supporter who seems he's pretty clued up. He knows what's going on within the club. When Charlton sacked, oh God, names on the tip of the tongue. Adkins, thanks. A couple of weeks ago, Hasselbank apparently was really heavily linked with the Charlton job, and it's only because Johnny Jackson's come in as caretaker and kind of turned things round, and they're moving upwards that they've kind of, I think they're quite keen to give it to Jackson now. But that would indicate that if Hasselbank's being strongly linked with Charlton, I don't know what his contract situation is at Burton, but is there some sort of form of buyout? You know, is he on a short-term contract? Has he only got a year, maybe 18 months left? I think it would be a good appointment.
That Charlton job hasn't yet gone to Ronnie Jackson permanently, has it?
No.
That's an interesting one to watch, because if they go a direction away from Ronnie Jackson, I would be on the blower quicker than you could say phone call.
He'll get that job. So I mean,
he should.
The Charlton pod guy was saying, why has he not got the job yet?
That's why I'm intrigued by it. If they do decide to go a different direction, I would be straight on the phone. Yeah. Because he's done a great job there.
From what my friend at work was saying, they were waiting. He said this before the Charlton game at work on Monday. He said, with regards to Jackson, he believes the club will wait and see how it went against Ipswich and then again this Saturday against Cambridge. And I think they were going to see how the results played out. Well, they beat us, so I would imagine Jackson will get the job.
Yeah.
Look, boys and girls, his name's Johnny Jackson, because I fucking say it is, all right? The same way it was Alan Cook, Barry Cook and Paul Cook. Dove's rules, all right? Mere names, you know by now, guys. I don't get names.
I do wonder whether or not Ashton's actual number one target originally was Ryan Lowe, which is why we've not seen too much movement. And the fact was that Lowe could only go off and talk to a club that was in a higher division than League One, which is why that Preston deal got done with a click of a finger. Then now you've seen that his assistant, Schumacher, has stayed at Plymouth. So he's now going to go to Preston without his assistant, i.e. like Cook did with Richardson. You know, but I do wonder whether or not that was the first choice. But of course, there was red tape around us being in the same division.
Yeah, Alistair Cook. I think we've probably been better off if we got Alistair Cook in, to be fair. Right, back to the conference. Well, tomorrow, my article, season's not over, Ashton says, but could it be after this weekend, guys? I wrote, for once, we are not prepared to allow season to bypass us, and I'm so happy to hear Mark Ashton showing ambition and a declaration that the season is not over. But could it be if we suffer defeat tomorrow, and will we suffer defeat tomorrow? What are your thoughts ahead of Wigan? Because Monty asks, do we have the players to go there tomorrow and play counter-attacking football?
No.
Don't ask, mate.
I think the best we can hope for is a draw tomorrow. I don't. How can anyone think any different after Tuesday night? Being on a short goal.
No.
How can you think?
True.
It was interesting if everyone was saying like, "Oh, if it hadn't been for Walton, it could have been 4, 5, or 6." Well, the fans at the end of the game acted like it was 4, 5, or 6, didn't they? It don't really make any difference in the end, does it? You still only get 3 points. It's still the same, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they didn't act like Walton was the hero, did they? So,
that, wasn't it? I mean, I wish that Ipswich fans had shown that passion when we got relegated rather than clapping everyone off. You know, they got half a foot over the ad boards singing, "You're not fit to wear the shirt." Where's this normally? That's what I want to be saying.
Colin Plum says 3-2 tomorrow, Matt.
Oh, Colin. I love how positive Colin gets. But what have you seen out of Tuesday to think we're going to even have a shot on goal, let alone score 3?
Well, let's go to your lineup. Very helpfully, you've put them in the black kit. You've got Walton, KVY, Burgess, Edmondson, Danasian, Morsey and Carroll, Selena, Chaplin, Aluko, and Macaulay Bond. Talk us through your thinking here. So Burgess comes in for Toto and Ciala.
Yes. Yeah, Toto can't play. Toto cannot play after what happened Tuesday. What was he thinking? We've just been appalling. The crowd have got the ump. I'll go over there and have a little chat with them. Craziness. Craziness.
Bit naive. But yeah, I can see that. I can see that. So
He's obviously got a bollocking off senior management. Because the statement they put out was like, you know, you've done something, you know, even though you felt justified in going over there, that's not the look we're looking for. That's what that statement kind of felt to me. So I don't think Toto plays tomorrow.
Carroll in midfield with Morsey?
Yeah, so we've already spoken about this. We need some creativity in midfield. We saw nothing down the middle, did we, on Tuesday night? So I feel like you got Morsey as your mop-up man, and now people criticise him. Okay, I get that. That's your opinion. He still rarely gives the ball away. He can find a town shirt more often than not. So he feeds Carroll, and then you've got those three in front of you, haven't you? You've got your Chaplin, you've got Aluko, and I've said Selena if he's fit on the left. Just feed them to get it into Bond. That's what we've been missing, isn't it? No one's getting the service to Bond. That's what we're missing. And even though I think Carroll is quite lightweight, he did play quite well in that little spell, which culminated in the 1-0 at Lincoln. So get him on the ball. Morsey to Carroll, feed those three, look into Bond. And it's got to be quite direct. It's got to be quick. Whether or not we can play that style, I don't know. But I mean, my other view is that we need to get McGreal gone as soon as possible.
Selena's out, according to McGreal. I didn't see that, but perhaps he is.
Is he out?
So if he's not playing, who do you want on that left side?
So he goes left side. Tricky. I don't know. That's a bit of a tricky one. Edwards hasn't got the end product for me. Edwards hasn't got the end product for me. It would be Selena all day. Who else could we put in?
Rich thinks Humphreys.
He was quite good when he came off the bench against.
As does Rob Smith.
He's untried though, isn't he? Really, he's untried. But I mean, look, listen, try him maybe. Might score the winner. Just don't know. He got himself to a good position against Barrow and he got the winner.
Mm-hmm.
Shut
Absolutely.
Penny up. That's a good shout.
Yeah. Lewis Robertson, your team is this. Chaplin and Pigott. You've also got Stanissa. Think about how you'd replace him. You've got Walton, Danasian, Wolfenden coming in, Edmondson, Penny, Morsey, Fraser, Elmirs, Selena, Chaplin and Pigott. Talk to us about, okay, first of all, Wolfenden. Why Wolfenden over Burgess?
So I agree with Matt that Enciala needs to come out after the other night.
Can he play for this club ever again?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It just needs a bit of a cooling off period.
Just asking. Thought I'd ask a question. Sorry, carry on.
I don't want to dwell too much on the Enciala point because I know you covered it the other night. It was misguided. I think Rich hit the nail on the head. He could have just walked over, clapped and walked off. Mm-hmm. But the level of criticism, okay, yeah, he didn't perform very well, and criticism is aimed at that, and that's fair. But the level of abuse and criticism that's been aimed at Enciala since, I would say Enciala wears his heart on his sleeve. I remember the first game against Morecambe. He was in tears when he came off injured. It was misguided. It was misjudged. He shouldn't have come over and kind of confronted the crowd in the way he did. He absolutely shouldn't. And he misread the room, for want of a better way of putting it. I think Enciala has far more passion for Ipswich Town and has demonstrated far more passion for Ipswich Town than some of the others who skulked off the pitch and almost have got away scot-free in some cases. So, like I say, I think footballing-wise, after his performance the other night, I wouldn't have him in my lineup. It was misjudged, and as I agree, the apology was written by someone at the club. It wasn't direct from him, I don't believe. No. But I do think there is a way back for him eventually. I just think he needs some time away. But my reason for picking... sorry.
There are some fans that would go further than that, though, and say that he's actually a bit of a scapegoat to many. And if anything goes wrong, it's always going to be Toto Enciala's fault. Is that something you subscribe to or believe yourselves?
I think people are giving him praise this season when when warranted. He's had games where he's played well, and I think the crowd have got behind him. And
No, it's not my opinion. I'm just asking the questions.
I think with Toto, you either get a 7 or an 8 out of 10 one week, followed by a 3 or a 4 out of 10 the following week. And I think it's that consistency. It's a little bit like Miles Kenlock. He's come into the team, played 2 or 3 games, played well. A little bit also like Bailey Clemens. He came in, started well, and then it's that 5-6 game period where mistakes start to creep in and performance drops. And I think that's the whole point of being a professional footballer, is can you maintain it, that standard, on a regular basis? And I think Toto's too up and down. Possibly he does get a bit of unnecessary stick from time to time, but he's not the most cultured of players. So, you know, he'll get the ball and he'll look to bang it long and end up banging it long to no one, and everyone will groan and things like that. That's my take. My reason to go back to my lineup for picking Wolfenden over Burgess is, as you did, Matt, you shifted Edmondson over to the right, and I think Edmondson's been fantastic on the left. So it isn't that I would pick Wolfenden over Burgess on current form or ability necessarily, but I think we need to keep Edmondson on the left side. So it would make sense, if you're not going to play Toto, to bring in Wolfenden. The other point, obviously didn't realise Selena was injured either. I would, although my graphic there is almost like a diamond, I think I would probably play sort of the 3 of El Mazzuni, Morsey and Fraser with then Selena in front. What I'd probably do is put Fraser in the 10, and then I'd put Carroll where Fraser is on the left side of the 3. And as I say, Piggott up top with Chaplin buzzing round. And I think that if you needed to, you could always end up shifting Chaplin out wide and maybe put Fraser over on the other side. So it could revert back to normal of a 4-2-3-1 if required.
And I think fans have to get away from the negativity around that formation. I really do. Like, that's a modern formation. It can work. And if you have a manager coming in, the next manager coming in, for example, plays 4-2-3-1, don't just immediately prescribe yourself to the fact that it's going to be rubbish, blah, blah, blah. What I would say, going back to your point about Toto and Bailey Clemens and such, is every team's got a John McGreal or a Wayne Brown. You know, Wayne Brown was a steady defender, but it was always a reserve because he couldn't put it together for 5, 6, 10, 15 games. Whereas a first team player, that's what separates you. You're a first team player because you can put it together, can't you, Matt? So is it a case we've got too many sort of reserve defenders to go alongside Edmondson? Because when you look at it, Burgess is suffering the same form at the moment. Toto, Wolfenden, they're all good for snapshots, but not for the big picture.
Well, I wouldn't count Burgess as being a reserve defender. We nearly paid £1 million for it. That's a lot of money
He's
for
a reserve defender, though.
Yeah, true. With Toto, you know, nothing gives me greater pleasure than seeing Toto playing well. It's great, and we've Crunch is putting his Matt sober tonight. Yeah, I am. That wasn't after Tuesday. You needed a few drinks after that, didn't you? You know, nothing's better than seeing Toto playing well. You know, we want him to play well, but nothing makes your blood boil so much when he makes mistakes, because it looks so avoidable, the mistakes he makes. I mean, I think he did 3 or 4 pens on the trot across 5 weeks or something in one season. But yeah, no one's wishing him a bad game.
No,
but you might be right. Maybe there is a call for another centre half to come in. We'd probably have to ship one out to bring in, I would have thought.
We need a right-sided defender as a first choice. So you got Edmondson on the left side with Burgess to come in if needed on the left side, and then you keep one of Enciala or Wolfenden as almost understudy to the new right-sided centre half. And I think that right-sided centre half needs to be a gritty leader who's going to battle our way out of League One for us, not a kind of cultured centre half.
The rumour was
all roads lead to Mowbray.
They wanted Sonny Bradley, didn't they? The rumour was correct. That was going to be the first signing, wasn't it? Now, whether or not
I think he's left-sided though as well. I know you mean someone in that ilk, but I'm pretty sure he's left-sided. So had we signed Sonny Bradley, would we have necessarily seen Burgess and or Edmondson? You never know. But
even that, Lewis, brings you back to that manager conversation, doesn't it? When you are cherry-picking players out of the Championship to come into League One for you, and then you change the manager and suddenly you're going Neil Harris, Mark Bircham. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't... The recruitment doesn't add up to the names that are being mentioned right now. That's why I still keep thinking. After Tuesday, I keep coming back to this this name. It's going to be like a Keane style name. That's what I think is going to happen.
And we shouldn't read too much into manager odds. I tweeted this the other day.
Yeah.
The three of us could go and put 100 quid on someone, their odds would shift massively. Manager markets, I always think, are a bit kind of sporadic and easily influenced.
Wow. Funny you should say that, because Matt seems to think he can take a £5 of mine and turn it into 30 quid. So I'm looking forward to Monday morning getting my 30 quid back. Apparently, Matt's offering that service, guys and girls. So if you want £5 turned to 30, Matt's your man. What you said?
I've done all right on the accumulators. Thanks very much.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting my 30 quid Monday. I've already bought my Chinese for the weekend, thinking I'm going to, be quids in.
Fiver? Where's this fiver come from?
You said in the group chat, and Rich will back me up,
Yeah.
you could take a five and make what he was making
I've done that
refereeing.
numerous times.
I'm looking forward to it. Right, score predictions then. We're back tomorrow at 1:50, myself and Coxie for the match day ticket. And then again at full time, obviously. But what's our score prediction going to be for tomorrow's game? I'm going to say 2-1 Town. We're going to just somehow haplessly fall into a win. Yeah, why not? Fuck it. 2-1. Lewis?
I'm going to say 1-1. I think there'll be a reaction from Tuesday, but Wigan are a decent team. But rather than sitting on the fence with a 1-1, because I doubt I'll probably be back on the show until after Christmas, I'm going to go 7 points from the next 3 games. So we're going to draw tomorrow, then we'll win against Sunderland, pack out PR, and then we'll win at Gillingham on Boxing Day as well. And then all of a sudden, 7 points, new manager coming in, things are looking up going into the new year.
Matt Stannard, £5. Matt, can you tell us £5? Can you tell us £30 for the club? Yes, he can. Mogul Betting Company.
Now you're putting me under pressure.
Mate, Mogul Betting Company. There you go. Now I'm playing with house money. Love it. Right. No, don't worry. No money paid to the platform goes to betting. I can promise you that. It's a drink problem I've got, not a betting one. No, I'm joking. Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say there. Oh, Lewis, have you been on the show in a week where we've not won?
No.
There you
I
go.
think my shows, off the top of my head, I think I came on just after we beat Doncaster 6-0. And then the night after we beat Wigan 4-1. Can't remember the other time I've been on. I think this is my fourth occasion.
You done a Friday of May?
He did.
Is that the Oldham game?
No, it was Sunderland. So,
Oh,
that beats that.
Never mind.
I think the score will be the same as it was at Sunderland. I think we'll get beat 2-0 tomorrow. And then that'll be the end of the McGreal era. And hopefully we can look forward next week to the start of something fresh.
Nigel Stannard. Thanks for messaging Nigel. New name. I always like new names in the chat. Biggest whipping tomorrow since Man United. Are you related to the other Stannard that keeps walking around this chat? We keep trying to get rid of him, but he keeps coming back. Is Matt or Pat or something? Are you related to him? Let us know. So, Matt, what did you say your score prediction? I think
it's going to be 2-0. Has anyone been inspired by McGreal on the microphone when he's been doing interviews? He seems like that guy who's on the train who looks after your bag. Can you just look after this for me, mate? I'll go to the toilet. I just want to get that gone and we can start fresh. Get the new guy in. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, let's wait and let's see who comes in, what the score will be tomorrow. It's been another enjoyable hour and 20 minutes with both of you. Is there anything we've not covered, anything we've not said, anything that's not been done that we feel? I didn't pull anything out from John McGreal because what is it you called him the other night, Matt?
Don't know, what did I say?
You say as much charisma as what?
I can't remember. Let me just say that I did like John McGreal as a player. Gave us some great times, but for me on the microphone, not so much.
They already know because Rich has already told him what you said. So
I don't even know what I said. What did I say?
Right. Well, Rich will say it in the chat. He'll remind us.
Was this after the Charlton game?
Yeah. No. It was after his first press conference. Matt Stannard, don't think we're related, are we, Nigel Stannard? But nice to see another Stannard. Look at that look. So you watched. This is like family reunited. You watched, all the charisma as a deflated paddling pool.
I did say that. Yeah, I did say that.
Not another pool.
Not another pool. Yes, I didn't put any comments out. Paul Cook lookalikes McGreal, so that AD Croucher. Colin Clay was a bit dull. Brilliant manager, though.
John McGreal
I've got one piece of any other business.
Go for it. We like any other business. AOB.
The black shirt that they are wearing tomorrow should absolutely go on sale at the shop. I'm sure that would sell out. Compared to the other two shirts, it is so much nicer.
It's good,
And they've already said they're not selling it, but you can guarantee Cruncher will have one of those black shirts by January.
He's gonna have the placard up tomorrow. Morsey can have your shirt.
I don't get this love for this shirt. And then again, I get the love for any shirt. But I've looked at it, and maybe I've been conditioned. I've been with my wife too long. I look at it and I think, well, what would it go with? Like, when would I wear it?
You wear a lot of
I
black.
only ever wear a football shirt to football.
So there's no bloody point spending 50 quid on it. That's my. Perhaps it's me being tight, you know, because I am notoriously tight.
They can't sell it because of contractual reasons of Adidas or something. I don't know what that is. Can they only sell 2 kits a year or something? I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Someone did put on Twitter though, you know, you can always find the kind of template of it without the badge and the sponsor. Someone put it up for 16 quid on the Adidas website earlier. So if people really do like it, you won't have the badge or the Ed Sheeran logo. But
the Barca kit was like that, wasn't it? The Barcelona kit we had was like that. It was about £4.99.
Rob Smith in bed. He says, I can wear it in bed. In the dark, says Lee Bayliss. Gov got a bigger beard than me. Absolutely, Ben. Absolutely. But honestly, these shirts these days, without sounding too old, they cost the earth. And then I always think, where would I wear it? In what situation? Like, it's hardly going to rock up to I don't know, nightclub wearing that shirt. Am I?
You spend most of your time doing the shows. You could just wear it then.
Wear it to podcast awards next year.
Yeah. Cruncher will get one. Use it when he's refereeing. Says Roy Clark.
Solar red boots.
Yeah.
In all fairness to Cruncher, though, just a final congratulations to him and everyone else involved in raising the money. Obviously, they handed over the check. Was it yesterday? Absolutely. Really great to see. Great work from everyone.
Yeah, brilliant.
He's a hero, Crunch. I'm very proud of him. He's done incredibly well. Well said, Lewis. Well said. Right, we're back tomorrow, 1:55. Myself, Coxie. Then we're back on Sunday for Talking Town. We've got the Fans React show tomorrow. Cruncher says, her who must be obeyed won't let him. Possibly. Couldn't possibly comment. Then again, you know, would yours allow you, Matt?
What, to buy a shirt?
No, to wear a shirt anywhere but a football match.
No, I wouldn't do that. I don't like when you go on holiday and you're out in the evening and you're in a nice restaurant and then someone rocks up in a QPR way top. I'm like, you know.
It's always a QPR.
Listen, I'll stick a shirt on like this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, don't get me started on holidays. Like where it says dress, you got to wear trousers, and you wear trousers, and then some Burke turns up in shorts, and you're like, well, how come he can wear shorts and waltz in and get his pizza and chips on the all-inclusive, and I've got to sit here in me finest linen, sweating like no one's business.
Moaning, aren't you? Always moaning.
Oh, you started me off now. I do need a good holiday, right? We've got some naughtiness in the chat again.
The girls are here.
They keep coming back. Lee Bayes, cheers, chaps. I shall see Steve and Cruncher in the pub. And Benjamin says, too right, Matt. Standards. On that note, we will leave it there with love, with care, as he's here.
Welcome to Private Space Therapy, the business of our very own milk tray man, Ben Adams, who's a certified therapist and counsellor, registered with the BACP. Ben's offering appointments face-to-face in Colchester on the beautiful university grounds, or by video, telephone, or even home visit. So if you do feel like you need someone professional to listen, to understand, and to discuss what's going on with you, give Private Space Therapy a call. Private Space Therapy. Non-judgmental, unconditional support with you at the centre always. Call 01206 259 3